Let me ask you a question. When you think of forgettable doodles, what do you think of? You might be thinking of Binoculus or maybe something like Pompadour. But for me, it's Antennaflake. Like, you can't really blame me for this. Like, this thing, let's say, it has no redeeming qualities for it. Like yes, it has a good speed stat, pretty good magical attack, but then you look at the typing, it's not that appealing. Like air bug type is like very very bad offensively, and defensively it's not even considered to be good. But I do want to give it credit for having a very good coverage. It has Dark Blast to hit something like Volta 2 or other air types that resist the stabs of Antennaflight. And it has Earth Surge, which hits Spark type and Fire type, which Antennaflight is really bad against. And if you're afraid of pylons, it has Premonition as an ability, which basically ignores any entry hazards that your opponent set up, such as pylons, bee summon, or even lingering poison. Now, with all of that, why is Antennaflight not used a lot? Well, that is because lots of things. Yes, it's actually a very good range attacker, but like, why use Antennaflight when you have other different and better options? Like, why use Antennaflight if you need an air attacker when something like Velodo exists? Like, Velodo is actually better offensively as a doodle. Now, I'm not saying that Velodo is the best air type attacker. I'm just saying that Velodo is actually better than Antennaflight in terms of offense. But what about its utility? Now, you can use Antennaflight as a suicide lead that setups bee summon and use hit and run to actually use Antennaflight when you actually want to use it again. Then why don't you just use Libelagua instead? Not only it's a good suicide lead that sets up bee summon, it also has a very good ability to shut down your opposing doodle support moves, which are usually moves that increases their defenses or set up hazards to your field. And who doesn't like dealing damage and shutting down your opponent's chance to ruin your game? Okay, maybe you want to use it as a setup sweeper because Antennaflight has quick thinking. However, Antennaflight has a problem with using quick thinking. Let me introduce you to the 4 moves syndrome. While yes, you can use quick thinking for Antennaflight if you want to make as a setup sweeper. However, you're going to need to sacrifice one of its moves in order to use quick thinking. So if Antennaflight doesn't have Earth Surge, it can no longer threaten fire and spark types that is super effective against it, and it can't hit metal types for super effective, which easily shrugs off Antennaflight double stab of insect and air types. Well, that's okay, we can just remove Dark Blast, right? Well, if you remove Dark Blast, you're kinda struggling against Volta 2, which is very great against our little bug here. And seeing Volta 2 having a balanced usage rate and win rates, I don't think our little bug here is going to stand a chance. So yeah, Antennaflake is not good. So why isn't it get any buffs? Like, yeah, the moveset buffs were cool, but like, why does it not get like an awakening? Like Tornad and Mothra already got their awakening, and their awakening actually made them pretty good. And by the time I'm making this video, Wish already showed us awakened Libelagua. Like, why Libelagua? It's actually a pretty good doodle and it doesn't really need any help. Like, out of all doodles, he could have picked Antennaflight because it's actually really need help. Now, I'm not saying that awakened Libelagua is a bad thing, but like, they could have just picked Antennaflight because it's one of the first doodle that is introduced in a game when it just got released. So Why? Well, I got some answers for that, and it's actually from the Mr. Balancer himself, Car. Yeah, his name is Car. And I asked him, why does Antennaflight doesn't get any awakening forms? And he responded with, don't know, I assume no real awesome concepts. So I also asked him if there was an awakened Antennaflake, what typing and what kind of trait you want it to have. If Antennaflake were to have an awakening, then maybe just keep the typing or make it air melee. The air melee designs are frankly lame and original. They've been done to death. So, if any of you watching this is an artist, maybe you can help Antennaflake by making its awakening concept melee air type doodle. So yeah, I think that's all for today's video, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Sayonara.
What's inside? What? It's a box of... A box of... That's ridiculous. You can't put in a box.